The whole world kind of went nuts because Gemini 3 is here.
Google is on the map now with their AI models, at least with Gemini.
Google owns so many things. Google has access to the world's data, and as a result of it, they are a massive player.
Gemini is Google's version of ChatGPT. It's their large language model. It is a contender at the top of the charts when it comes to tools to use.
Yeah, and one of the big advantages to Google Gemini is data control and privacy. And this is a big deal for a lot of businesses. And Gemini is literally baked into every one of their products. It's baked into Sheets, Docs, Slides, pretty much everything. But the more I began messing around with Gemini, the more my mind was blown.
Michael Stelzner is the founder of Social Media Examiner and a driving force in AI-powered marketing. As host of the AI Explored podcast, he guides business leaders through the fast-changing AI landscape, showing how tools like Gemini can transform entire companies from the inside out. Welcome to Using AI at Work. I'm your host, Chris Daigle. Each week, we'll be learning how today's business owners, entrepreneurs, and ambitious professionals are getting more done with smart use of tomorrow's tech. Let's get started. Right now, every business leader is asking the same question. What are we going to do about AI? If this is you, ChiefAIOfficer.com has the answer. We give you a simple path forward where we provide executive and team training so your people know exactly how to safely use generative AI in their day-to-day. We also manage the deployment and implementation to make sure tools actually get adopted and deliver results. And we'll also guide company-wide transformation so AI becomes part of your operating system, not just another shiny object. The companies that act now will increase productivity, cut costs, and grow faster than their competitors. Those that wait will get left behind. So if you want to make AI work in your business, visit ChiefAIOfficer.com and see how we're helping companies of all sizes finally get results from AI. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Using AI at Work. I'm Chris Daigle, I'm the host, and our guest today is Michael Stelzner, founder of Social Media Examiner and many other things. He's got a fantastic AI podcast. He had me as a guest on several months ago, and we were doing our pre-interview yesterday, kind of like, just game planning where we were going to go with this, and he blew me away with something. And so here's what I'm going to tell you. If you're listening to this on audio, you're going to get plenty out of it. However, there's probably going to be some things that you want to actually see. We don't normally do screen shares, but with what Michael's going to show us today, I was like, yes, let's definitely do it. So don't worry. You can listen to it. You can learn plenty, but there may be a few things where you want to go and catch us on the YouTube channel and actually watch what Michael's going to be showing us today. So as I mentioned, Michael's got a fantastic podcast about AI, fantastic guests. He reached out recently to honor me with being a guest on our show, which I'm very excited about. And we had a great conversation yesterday talking about some of the stuff he's doing, and I'm really excited about it. So we're going to talk about a few things today, but Michael, out of the two things that we talked about yesterday, where do you want to start?
Well, I think we should start with Google because that's the hot thing.
Let's do it. Yeah, for sure. So Michael was sharing with me how I think if you're listening to this, maybe you're aware that Gemini 3 has recently come out. As of this recording, it was this week. It was just a couple of days ago. And, all the chatter on the Twitter sphere or X sphere about, for all the AI enthusiasts is that this one is like Google is on the map now with their AI models, at least with Gemini. And, sure, we test out a lot of models. We see a lot of cool stuff. We kind of, we've got some habits. I use ChatGPT for this. Hadn't really been using Gemini. And after what Michael showed me yesterday, he's like, hey, dude, you got to see this. It's a tab that's open in my browser right now. And I'm actually going to be doing some of the things that Michael is going to share with everybody today. So Michael, kind of run us through what's happened in your company over the past week.
Well, actually, just a little backstory, if you're okay with this. We put out an annual report called the AI Marketing Industry Report. And we did the last one in October of 2025. And obviously, no surprise, the number one AI tool used by marketers is ChatGPT. But what was surprising was 51% are using Gemini. And I was shocked to see so many people using Gemini and that it was in the second place position. I would have thought Claude, because that's what a lot of people are using. And I've been talking to people like you on my AI Explored podcast and offline. They're all telling me, man, there's something big happening with Google. So if we think about why, first of all, Google was the company that invented the T in GPT, the transformer. Okay.
That's right.
They were the one that wrote the original white paper. In addition, they have a lot more money than a lot of these other companies that are venture backed, and they have a lot of data center technology. But the most important thing is data, because Google owns so many things. One of the biggest, obviously, is YouTube. What they're working on is what they call world models. So what they're doing is they're training their AI to understand physics and geometry. And this is really important. In the last couple of weeks, they've come out with a pretty sophisticated video model called VO31, which is definitely kind of top of class. And they also came out with something called Nano Banana, which is really, really good at generating images. The thing that really got me as the CEO of a business was the big advantage that Google has for our business and lots of small businesses and mid-sized businesses is the Google ecosystem, the workspace system. There's a lot of businesses that are either using Microsoft or they're using Google. My business happens to be using Google. And we use Google Sheets, and we use Google Docs, and we use Google Drive, and we have Gmail and all the things, even though we have a corporation. And I started in my head saying, okay, I think it might be wise, since we're already paying more, because Google decided about a year ago to raise their rates and give AI included for everyone who has a workspace account. And lots of people probably listening do. I made this strategic decision about a month ago that we're going to move to Gemini as a corporation. We were previously using one of these tools that allows you to pick your model, and it's all done through APIs. There's a lot of companies out there that do this kind of stuff. But the more I began messing around with Gemini, the more my mind was blown. And literally it was Tuesday of this week. I think it was like the 18th. And we had planned that I was going to be training all of my employees with one of my other staffers on how to use Google Gemini. And literally an hour before this meeting, I got an email from a big influencer in the AI space that Google Gemini 3 had just launched. And I'm like, oh, crap. It was 2.5, that we've been using.
Yeah.
And it was Ethan Mollick. You may know who Ethan Mollick is. He's kind of a big deal. I'm on his email list, and he tends to always be the first to preview these things and releases it literally moments after it comes out. So I'm like, oh, crap. Oh, wow. Ooh, look at this. And sure enough, the whole world kind of went nuts because Gemini 3 is here. So this is all kind of backstory to help everybody understand the unfair advantage that Google has is access to data and also integration. I think integration is going to be the massive unlock. And right now you have two camps. You got the Microsoft camp, which is everybody who's used, what do they call it? Copilot. They're not happy with
Copilot.
Yeah. And then on the other side, you've got Gemini, and it's like, wow, this is really cool. So we're at this junction point right now where we are, as a company, deciding that we're going all in on Gemini. So I'll pause there, let you react to that, and then we can go deeper. Where do you want to go with that?
Here's my take. People that are using Copilot, it's gotten better. But I'll be honest with you, man, 2 years ago, somebody from Microsoft reached out to us and said, hey, we need help because our internal adoption at Microsoft of our own product, Copilot, is way behind where we thought we'd be. And they just wanted to kind of game plan how we could help them with that. But I will say that it's gotten better. However, like you, we run our whole business on the Google Suite. And I encounter a lot of, we target lower middle market and above size businesses. Yeah, there's plenty of Microsoft in there, but a lot of them are on Google, or they've got both because Gemini wasn't quite there. They weren't quite comfortable with the safety and security settings with outside of the Microsoft environment and that sort of thing. But I agree with you with 3.0 being released. And for those that don't know Gemini is Google's version of ChatGPT. It's their large language model. It's been available. It's been okay, but not really that great. But now, as I mentioned earlier, it is a contender at the top of the charts when it comes to tools to use. So that's my reaction.
Yeah. And one of the big advantages to Google Gemini is data control and privacy. And this is a big deal for a lot of businesses. If you are already using Google for your docs and your sheets and all your intellectual property, you've already made a commitment that you trust Google. Does that make sense? So, and Gemini is literally baked into every one of their products. It's baked into Sheets. It's baked into Docs. It's baked into Slides, I think is what they call it. I don't really use their slide maker thing, but Yeah, it's baked into pretty much everything. For example, in a Google Sheet, you can literally have it do really fancy stuff if you want to Sheets, which is really cool. But what I'm really excited about is gems. So everybody in your audience knows what a custom GPT is, right?
Yeah.
A custom GPT is effectively like a specialized version of a GPT. The benefit to gems is gems can be made and shared internally only. So what that means is you can give all of your employees access to your gems and not have them ever be out in the public. It's the same sharing features as a Google Doc or a Google Sheet. So for example, you can make a gem and just share it with people in your department, or you can make a gem and share it with everyone inside of your company. It's completely locked down and secure. So when you start to think about that, and then you couple in the fact that when you add a Google Doc or a Google Sheet to a gem, it's live updated. Okay. So if you change a sheet, it's going to dynamically update into the gem as you're using it. And this is very, very powerful. So when you start to think about how you can lock down these gems and create as many as you want, that's when things get absolutely fascinating. So what I did was I brought my company together and we did a training, and we did some very basic training where we showed them how if you hit the @ sign, and if you decide you want to share your screen while I'm talking, Chris, you can. It's kind of up to you.
I would love for you, if you don't mind driving, that'd be great. Because you showed
right,
me
cool.
this yesterday.
Well,
and I was
all right. Okay, let me just show off real quick Nano Banana, because this is really cool. And for everyone listening, I'm going to narrate exactly what I'm doing here. Okay, I have a conference called AI Business World, which is part of Social Media Marketing World. So all I did was I uploaded a PNG file of this logo, and I said, place the logo on a coffee cup in a cafe. And what's really cool is it actually placed it as if it was silk screened on the actual coffee mug. And it looks legit, like it looks real. Okay.
Is that your logo?
That's the logo right there at the top.
That's the logo,
I dragged it in there, and you can see how it made it look like it was printed on a coffee mug. So then I said, put it on a steel mug. Okay. And it put it on a steel mug. Now this is where it gets really interesting. I said, have a worker wearing a short. I typed it wrong. It should have been shirt with the same logo on it, deliver the coffee. Now in this case, it knew it was a shirt, but it's got a perspective problem. The guy, for those that are watching, that are not watching, the guy, the coffee cup looks huge, and the guy looks like he's carrying like a massive platter with a coffee cup on it. Okay?
Yeah.
But then I went further and I said, etch the logo into the windows in the back of the cafe. And you can actually see that it did a really good job. It actually glass etched it right into it. Okay. So this is just some of the cool stuff that you could do very, very quickly with your logo. If you wanted to create like a mock-up of, like, let's say you're creating some merch or whatever for your customers or whatever, you could put this together in a really cool way, and it's pretty phenomenal. Okay. So that's just one thing. The really cool thing that Chris freaked out about yesterday is when you're in Google Gemini, which is gemini.google.com, if you have a account with Workspace, you will automatically have a pro thing. You hit the @ sign, and up pops a whole bunch of apps: Google Calendar, Gmail, Docs, Drive, Workspace, and you can call on these documents, and you can literally just do some really cool stuff. So for example, I was in a chat earlier today with my my coach, one of my coaches, and I said, at Google Calendar, find any meetings with my coach that fall on or around the holiday season. And it actually said, here's all the ones that are right around major holidays. And it actually brought up the calendar. And then I said, find me times during my normal working hours on Monday or Friday to study Google Gemini. And it came up with available times. And then I locked in the time, and it actually added it to my calendar.
So that's on your Google Calendar now.
On my Google Calendar now. Exactly. What's even cooler is that you can actually talk to this if you don't want to type. There's a little use microphone feature on the bottom. For those of us that are podcasters, we tend to be very verbal. So we can just talk to this thing, and it will literally narrate it right into the thing. So this is just a couple of examples of what you can actually do. I'm going to not share my screen anymore now and just kind of talk more conceptually.
Yeah. You know, before you go on, I want to, this is very relevant to what I've been doing, right? So I had a client, as I mentioned to you yesterday, they wanted to learn about GPT connectors. So I hadn't really used GPT connectors prior to the need for to training them. And I realized how powerful that was. I can go into ChatGPT. I can link up my Gmail and I can ask ChatGPT, hey, take a look at my inbox over the past 30 days and pick out any, high priority emails that I probably should have responded to, but didn't. And that requires a deep research, right? Like it's for those of you that have ChatGPT, you only get so many deep researches per month. Very helpful, pulled up some stuff, but what you're doing now, I don't need the connectors. It's baked into Gemini. All of my my Drive, like you mentioned. And one of the things I want everybody to understand, when Michael was talking about those gems, if those gems, which is like a custom GPT, if it's referencing a file or something as part of the knowledge base, and somebody from the team goes and updates that document in Drive, that gem is automatically updated with that. I don't have to re-upload the document. And that real-time integration and updating for this stuff is huge.
It's huge. And also, I also discovered that Asana is fully integrated into Gemini too. So for a lot of businesses, they use Asana for project management, which we happen to use. So now I can tag Asana and you can begin to understand where Google's going with this. They're going to allow you to quote unquote integrate your critical tools into Gemini with just an tag. I had to give it permissions the first time, but now I have access to all my Asana projects. And if you've ever used project management tools, you can kind of get lost inside those things. So what I decided to do with the training of my staff was first I taught them how to do very basic prompting. And then what I effectively did was I showed them the Google Calendar thing. And one of the first things I encouraged them to do was to tell Gemini to find a time on my calendar during normal working hours. If you don't say this, it's going to put on like midnight. Okay. It's not quite there yet, but it will actually put it on your calendar, which is really cool. You can also, if you have inbox problems, you can actually say, hey, go into my inbox, find any critical deadlines that I might have missed for anything, and it will read all of your emails for you. Okay. And it will actually in a different panel, bring up those emails right inside of the Gemini app. But then where it got really interesting was I encouraged all of my employees to create their own gems. And what I did was I created a gem called the Gem Creator just for my staff. Okay. And to be honest with you, I started with Gemini, then I went into Claude and enhanced it and brought it back into Gemini. And this is important. Any custom GPT or Claude project, you can port those very same instruction sets directly into Gemini. So that's the good news, right? So if you've already created this information, you can just port it right over into Gemini. And the advantage now is that you don't have to pay any extra for these team licenses or anything like that, which is kind of huge. You can control who has and who does not have access. So what I did was I told all of my team, hey, we're going to have a contest. We're going to, you have until November 25th to make as many gems as you want and to update this spreadsheet inside of a shared document and put a link to your gem and describe what it does. And for each entry, you're going to go into a drawing. We're going to give you $100 Amazon gift card to the winner. And then the person who makes the most gems is going to get publicly recognized in our weekly email updates. So this is just incentivizing them to actually do the thing because, Chris, this is part of the challenge. Giving people access to the tool is not enough. And I have been teaching my staff for over a year to use AI, but I started to notice they're not actually using it. What's also cool about Gemini is when you log into with Google, when you log into your admin dashboard, it tells you if people are using Gemini. So literally it goes across every app, Sheets, Docs, Gmail, and it shows you whether they're high, low, or medium use for each of these things, right? So I can actually see at a high level, and it includes Gemini, whether anybody is actually utilizing the tools.
Yeah.
And that's how I know, kind of at a macro level, whether or not the adoption is taking place. This is all natively built in.
Listeners, if you have ChatGPT now and you're on a business account, which is $25 a month for your people, you don't have access to be able to see that kind of information. You have to have the enterprise version of ChatGPT, which is extremely expensive for most, listeners to this, just to be able to see not necessarily what they're doing, but see how much usage they're getting. That feature is now baked into Gemini through the admin dashboard with your Google Workspace. That's fantastic. I didn't know that.
Yeah, 100%. And it's across all the apps. And by the way, for those of you that use the Chrome browser, you may have noticed in the upper right-hand corner of the Chrome browser is a little thing called Gemini. So this is what Google is getting really, really good at is if we think about the amount of people that use Google-based apps, the fact that Gemini is getting worked into the entire ecosystem is really cool. And going back to some of the unexpected features that are built into Gemini, the Nano Banana thing, Nano Banana Pro, is really, really cool. It understands architecture. So it can do architectural designs, drawings, 3D kind of stuff. And also the VO is also studying worlds, because remember, they're training on all the YouTube data. So they understand, they're learning physics by watching videos, and people may not understand YouTube. The number of videos that are uploaded every day is just ridiculous amount of data. So this is the key. Like, Google has access to the world's data, and as a result of it, they are a massive player. And just today, I read that Sam Altman recently tweeted, or internal to his staff said, hey, we're going to be in a little bit of a pain for a while our next version comes out, because what's happening with Google is they are surpassing them. And I'm going to predict that integration is going to be the most important thing for marketers, because here's the deal. If you use like ChatGPT or you use Claude, you have to kind of give it access to all of your data in order for it to work. Yep. And a lot of people like me have a lot of problems with that, because I don't trust that IP, that stuff is going to be secure, and it's stopping a lot of businesses. And I do think this is one of the biggest things in the future, is going to be how easy does it actually integrate with everything that I already use.
And you trust Google already. I mean, you're sending your emails through it, you're storing your documents in it. So this is not much of a leap on the security side of things.
Yeah. And by the way, I haven't tried this yet, but it's also important to understand that Google's deep research is considered best in class. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Google is capable of incredible research. So you could create gems, if you will, that automatically do certain kinds of tasks, like competitive research, or other kinds of tasks that are super, super valuable. You can create, I believe, and I may be speaking out of turn, but I believe that you can actually create tasks that are creating images and stuff. So I have one of my graphic designers is working on creating a gem to allow him to mock up kind of rough thumbnails for YouTube videos, just by putting in like the title of a show. This is, I don't know if you can do that with ChatGPT, custom GPTs. Can you? Maybe you can. Can you have them generate images like that?
You know, you can, but I don't know the quality. Like, people have sent me some of the stuff they've created with Nano Banana recently. And like, our chief AI officer sent me a picture of something. He said, I sent this to a professional. He's a sword fighter. He's a fencer. Yeah. So I designed this just through prompts, sent it over to one of my buddies who manufactures swords. And the guy was like, where'd you get that? Like, assume that it was so realistic. And this is somebody who builds these things, like understands the finest details of these things, saw this image and assumed that it was real based on the quality of that Nano Banana. I don't know that his same experiments using ChatGPT image creation would have fooled even like a world-class expert at something like that.
Yeah. So if we project into the future, and we think about what's happening here at a macro level, we've got OpenAI about to go public sometime in the future. They're going to have a lot of inflow of cash, and they've got a lot of partnerships, and there's a lot of people hoping it's going to be successful. But one of the things that they really don't have is data. And this is going to be their struggle moving forward. Yeah. They're going to have to do partnerships because they don't own media. They don't have access to media. And you could have some of the best technology in the world, but if you don't have access to the training data, that's going to be a problem. And Google is not going to run out of data.
Yeah.
It's just not. I mean, you think about every person that has an Android, you think about YouTube, you think about maps, all the stuff. I mean, it's crazy. And when we start layering in real world kind of stuff, that's where I think you're going to see incredible innovation. And honestly, I have a strong sense that like Google's the underdog right now, which is kind of crazy to say. Yeah. They are the underdog, but I do believe that a lot of people are going to use the tool, especially if the tool is built in right out of the gate.
It's a perfect demonstration of that tortoise and the hare kind of thing. GPT 3.5 came out. Everybody was all about ChatGPT. Then Claude came out. You know, a little bit of usage there. Gemini was just no good. But now, after this last release, GPT's on the ropes. Claude's got their niche, but they're, you know, this is a huge leap. So for those of you listening and you've tried Gemini, and this is very typical with all the Gen AI stuff. Oh, I tried it a couple months ago, it was no good. Try it today. It's different. It's better. And as Michael just said, their deep research is best in class, which is something that, if you're doing the basic day to day, like, hey, ChatGPT, I need this or whatever, not a big deal. But if you're doing sophisticated analysis for your business strategy, for, outsourcing certain parts of departments to the models, the large language models, deep research comes in very handy. Do you know about any type of limitations on deep research with Gemini if you're a pro?
I think that there are limits to video. This part I know because that takes a lot of processing power. You only get so many credits. There might be a limit on images, but I have not reached it. Deep research, I think with the pro account, which is what you get if you have a workspace account, I believe that it's pretty robust. I don't think I've ever gotten to a point where I have not been able to do it. Yeah. And it's pretty sophisticated. I mean, to be honest with you, I think it is the best at what it does. So if you think about this from a strategic perspective, if you don't have the right training docs, you could start with a deep research task inside of Google. Yep. And then you could port it into a Google Doc, right? And then you connect it to a gem. And then all of a sudden you've got this data source, if you will, upon which you can do more sophisticated work over and over again.
And it's interesting. We haven't really talked about it a bunch on the podcast, but internally us and all the chief AI officers, we all use Notebook LM a lot, which is another Google tool. It's recently had some updates prior to the release of 3.0 or Gemini 3.
Yeah, they just added slides, which is supposedly crushing Gemma. What's it called?
Gamma.
Gamma. Yeah, Gamma, exactly.
Yeah. They also added deep research functionality within Notebook LM. So I'm starting to see how this, you may not need a bunch of other tools now. You can do it all. The vibe coding bug, I've been bitten by it. I've been using Google's AI Studio, and we've built some amazing apps that we use on our website and our community. So all of this stuff being integrated, the limitation is going to be you as the human being able to make the connection and go, oh, I could do this. Oh, and then we could do plug all this stuff in. But if you can overcome that as the user of AI, generative AI in the Gemini environment, the Google environment, man, everything's baked in. It's amazing.
There's one other feature that's going to surprise people, but if you install the Gemini app on your phone and you connect it to your workspace account, it brings conversational audio and vision. So for example, you can just talk to it while you're driving, just like you can with ChatGPT advanced voice mode. And you can turn on the camera and you can point the camera at your screen. And I'm sure eventually they're going to have a desktop app for this, but right now it's exclusively on the mobile app. And it's pretty good. I mean, it's actually, and they're running Gemini's running a lot of commercials right now about this functionality. It's pretty impressive. So Claude is still my favorite. But because I'm a writer, but my staff is starting to get very excited about this because they've got now a powerful tool that's only getting more powerful by the day. And it's allowing them to create super precise, applications, for lack of better words, that allow them to do all sorts of cool stuff. For example, I've got one that does research for guests. I mean, my assistant does one for research for guests, one that does discovery for guests. So we're designing all these gems because the Google ecosystem is really good at doing this. Yeah, and they're going out there and helping us do a lot of the work that we do in preparation for example, the multiple shows that I host.
I know we want to talk about the way that you're using Claude, but before we do that, you mentioned a couple things that I want to dig into. You talked about this idea of the team training. So how many people were in that training?
19.
Okay. So listeners, you don't have to necessarily bring in the expert, the outside expert to come and teach your team. How often are you guys doing these types of trainings?
Well, we have something called the AI Business Society where we do them monthly, which is our membership. So sometimes our staff comes in on that because that's where I bring in experts, third-party experts that are way smarter than I am. But this is only the second time we've done something like this. We did one last year around this time and we did one this year, but we are committed to doing more. One thing that's really important for people to understand is Google also has something in their labs called Opal. Okay.
Yes.
The best way to describe it is like N8N or Make or Zapier, where you can set up automated workflows where you connect all the Google things together. So for example, if an email shows up in my inbox, trigger this, do that, create this document, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of people that are going gaga over that because they want to create automated workflows. But the cool thing about Opal is it's drag and drop, super intuitive, and it has a interface where you can just interact with it and will automatically create the whole thing for you. So you can tell it, hey, I want to create a workflow that does this. Bloop. It'll just create all the things, connect them all for you, and then you can customize them.
Yeah, I want to make sure that I load up a browser tab with Opal so that I can test that after we're done today.
It's opal.google. That's how you get there.
Okay. So for those of you, again, if you're an AI enthusiast and you listen to the show, you've probably messed around with at least Zapier. It seems to be the most approachable automations builder. And what we know is with working with clients, a lot of time they're like, well, we need AI to help us with that. And the reality is it's not AI that they need. For some of these things, it's just an automation that they need. But now I got to go learn Zapier, or I got to go learn Make, or I got to go learn, God bless you if you have to learn N8N. It's not easy. But now with Opal being baked in, yeah. And with this drag and drop functionality, accessing all of my Google stuff that's already there, I don't have to worry about, do I have the right authorizations? Did I, set up the right API keys or any of that stuff? It doesn't bode well for all of these kind of individual tools, even though I know Zapier just raised at like a $2 billion valuation still. Google's on the scene now. So I like this idea about the training. And I like the idea that you did that yourself. What was the catalyst for that now? Like, why didn't you do it 6 months ago? Why aren't you waiting 6 months?
Okay. Well, first of all, an important thing about training, I had Michael Hyatt on my show recently. And if you don't know Michael, he's kind of a leader kind of guy, and he's written a whole bunch of books and stuff. And he was talking about how he had trained his staff, and that inspired me. But what he specifically said is you got to do exercises in the middle of your training. So what I decided to do was we actually created a little worksheet to go with my deck. And we had 3 different exercises in there. And the first exercise was just the at Google Calendar exercise, place an hour on my schedule to play with Gemini. And that kind of blew everybody's mind, right? Then the next exercise was just how to do basic prompting. And we created a virtual equivalent of each of our employees. We had them create one on the fly. And I gave them a prompt and I said, place your Enneagram in here because we use Enneagram. And I said, go here if you don't know your Enneagram. And they now all have virtual doppelgangers of themselves, which is like a thought partner, right? And I taught them how to do that just in a very simple prompt and to attach our company-wide vision and mission document. Because the vision, and we have a shared drive where we have these resources that they can attach to any chat or any gem so that they have the ability to kind of leverage that existing resource. And we have a shared drive where we're placing more of these kinds of resources. And that was very valuable. Then we kind of showed them how to create a gem. And one of my employees loves the book, Eat the Frog or Eat That Frog. Sure. I don't know exactly what it's called, but she did it. Yeah, she did a deep research project, first of all, to find out what the core principles were of the book. Okay. And then she saved that into a Google Doc. And then she created a gem, basically using the gem builder that we had built. Yes. And it walked them through a series of questions one at a time to build it. And now she's got this Google gem that she's sharing with the whole company that they can use to basically leverage the concepts of that book. And anybody who has a certain book that they kind of ascribe to for the company could do this. She didn't have to go and steal the book. She just did internet research and created a Google Doc on the core principles and themes and philosophies of the book, but she understood it deeply and she was able to look at it and make sure it had it right. And then she created a gem that effectively guided our employees through the core principles of the book. Now that's something really useful that I think a lot of CEOs and businesses could probably find really valuable.
Yeah. For those of you that aren't familiar with the concept of Eat the Frog, it's based on a quote from Mark Twain. And he said, if you got a rough day ahead of you, basically do the hardest thing first and the rest of the day will be easy. So if you've got your people now using that as a filter for everything that's on their calendar, their to-do list, as a business owner, that if they're following the output from that gem, they're getting the highest leverage, hardest things done. For if the rest of the day, nothing else happens, but they got that one big rock done, they ate the frog. It's a win for sure. I love it. I'm actually going to build one.
Yeah. So those are the kind of applications that we created. I created another one called a master marketer. So what I did was I looked at the marketing skills that we had in house And then I built and you can use any ChatGPT, Claude, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I built a, for lack of better words, a system instruction that included a broader field of marketing than what we have in house. Things like that we don't normally maybe have expertise in, like maybe affiliate marketing or PR, and it covered like 10 different categories. And now my marketing team has access to this marketing genius, right? And that gem also has some of our company vision and mission documents attached to it. So now when they're stuck, they can employ the marketing genius to basically get marketing ideas. And there's endless kind of things that you can do. All the things that you can do, obviously, within any kind of custom GPT environment can be ported over into this environment. So those are the things that really, I'm excited about. And I've got like the sheet now, and I've got like there's probably 20 different gems that everybody has created so far. And I'm waiting to see all the gems that they're creating, but it's really fascinating to see them create the gems, share the gems. It's in a public repository now. Anybody can use those gems. And it's just kind of, the key thing is to get people to do some sort of a task in order to get adoption. Because the last time I did training, it was just me and this other person for 90 minutes talking.
Yeah.
But then the adoption fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
So you probably expound these kind of details as well, right?
Yep. There's another interesting thing that just hit me. So when you're building custom GPTs, one of the issues with companies in particular is we've got people using AI. Well, are they using your team's account? No. Well, if they build a GPT for their role and they leave, if it's in their personal account, that GPT that was so helpful to that department or whatever, that leaves with them. In the GEMS environment, certainly if they've got their own Gmail account, they can do it. But if you're in the Google Suite environment, odds are they're always logged in to their business Gmail account, right? So any gem that they build, they have to be. So any gem that they build, I don't have to worry about that leaving with somebody because, they were using their own account for this thing.
And if you do end up firing someone who created a gem, the cool thing about Google is you can assign all of the documents, and this is technically like a doc as far as the privacy, to another person. So that access just gets bloop right over to the other person. And I like that a lot because I like what you're saying a lot because you're effectively developing IP and applications, for lack of better words, that are really useful to employees. And if you've got a really creative employee that's created all these gems, you don't have to worry about it as long as they're using their workspace account, which is what they'd have to be using in order to be able to have access to all these features.
Another thing when building custom GPTs that you have to make sure that if you're sharing it, that it's shared only with the company or only with certain people, because there is a setting that allows you to make it just wide open. And if that's the case, it shows up in the GPT store. Anybody can look for it and get whatever training material you've got. They might accidentally get access to it, right? But as you mentioned at the beginning with these gems, that's not the case. It's not going into some big gems marketplace.
There is no marketplace. It's no different than any other document, right? Like there's nothing stopping the owner of the gem from sharing it with an outside contractor or consultant. It's got the same privacy controls. You can extract it, whatever, not do it, you can probably even enforce this at the admin level. I haven't really dug that far into it because it's so new.
Yeah.
But my guess is there's probably going to be some way to enforce this because a lot of people have employees and they might have critical contractors that they want to provide access to some of these gems to. And I would imagine those don't have company email addresses, but I'm pretty confident you could allow them to get access to these things. I could even see creating gems for onboarding new employees. Think about that, Chris.
Yep.
Imagine if you've trained it on your protocol and you walk through a series of things that you have them do that are highly customized depending on their role. I mean, you can just start to see all the applications here. It's pretty cool.
There's no more 90-day ramp up time for these people. They're able to go on day one, never having done the thing before. Yeah. But okay, now what do I do? And the gem says, do this.
Yeah.
Love it. It's this interesting paradigm because Google has had the opportunity to hear everybody else's complaints about, Claude doesn't do this. Meta sucks at this. I wish GPT did this. And because they've kind of waited to release this mega drop that they just did, they've been able to build in a lot of the things that I know are friction points for our internal use or client usage. And Gemini is addressing those through this system-wide integration. And
Well, and the other thing that I think we cannot underscore enough is that Gemini was built multimodal from the ground up, which means it has eyes and ears. And this is really important. As you know, you can drop an audio file into AI Studio, which is like their techie side of things. Or you can link to an audio or video file like in your drive or on YouTube. And it's not just going to read the transcript. It will watch it. It will listen to it. This is really, really, really important because so many of these tools that we use today are based on the transcript. And if I'm saying something and showing something on the screen, it's impossible for those tools to understand what's happening.
Good point.
It's not impossible for Google because it's designed from the ground up to have eyes and ears. And that's really, really important as we enter into this new multimedia world where our mouth is the keyboard and where our screen, what's happening on the screen is just as important as what we're typing. So I think this is going to be a big unlock for a lot of businesses that are maybe underestimating the importance of audio and video.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay. I want to make sure we have time to cover Claude because you're a power user of Claude. And I think as you mentioned, because you're a writer, because of your marketing background, the output, the quality of the output when it comes to the writing style, the writing capabilities are incredibly important to you. So I'm curious, as somebody who would love to be able to write better, in all of my communications, how an expert at that is using Claude in particular.
Yeah. So, the big deal about Claude, just so everybody understands, Claude is founded by a team that used to work for OpenAI. Okay. So Amade,
Dario Amade. Yeah.
Yeah. Dario Amade. He used to work for, the guys over at OpenAI, went off and he wanted to start a more technically ethical solution, even though they just settled a lawsuit where they had copied my book and lots of other authors' books and stuff. But they tried to build it on an ethical base. Major investors are Jeff Bezos, Amazon, and Google. Okay. So they've got major players outside of the Microsoft OpenAI world that are investing in this technology. It's also used by very large enterprises. For example, I have a friend who's very high up in Texas Instruments. This is the only platform they're allowed to use in-house is Claude Anthropic. Mostly because they're technical. And Claude, many people may not realize this, but Claude is considered the world leader in coding.
Yeah.
And it's very, very good with dealing with mass amounts of data. So if you think about TI as an engineering company, it kind of makes a lot of sense that they would use a tool like this. But another thing that most people don't realize is Claude is considered widely to be the best writing platform in the world.
I hear that all the time.
And the reason why is because they've been trained up on the world's books. And if you think about who one of their investors is, Jeff Bezos, he happens to own the Washington Post, right? So you start to think about this and you think about Amazon and their whole ecosystem. They've got their own like nice little baked in training system, and it's quite sophisticated. So that's just kind of important context. But the other part of the context is the Claude interface is just easier to use. It feels friendlier. It feels familiar. And it's kind of disposition. I don't know. It's personality. Like, you know how ChatGPT has kind of a personality? Claude has one as well. Claude has more of a consultative advisor personality, and it just is unprompted going to make recommendations. Sometimes it's going to pick the best of the bunch as it has multiple outputs. It's very good. It's one of the earliest ones that was really good at data analysis. It knows Python code, so it will literally take information and it will run code right there on the screen and figure it out for you, where the other ones are just guessing. They're actually mathematically solving the problem, which is pretty good. So I use Cloud Projects, and we have a couple of accounts internally, individual accounts, because the team accounts can get a little more pricey. You have to have a minimum of 5, and I think they're $25 a month, and I'm not a super big business. But Claude also does have full integration with the Google ecosystem. The problem is you have to grant access to the entire drive. Okay. This is where I don't want to do that. Right. Yeah. And it also is live access too. So similar to Google, it will provide live access. So what I do when I use this is I tend to, and the other thing you should know about Claude is out of the gate, it will use your training data on a paid account unless you turn it off. This is really important. You have to click off the privacy button. They've decided to turn it on. And it makes sense because remember what we talked about earlier, having access to data is one of the most important things for a lot of these models. So you have to remember to turn it off. They've got a whole bunch of connectors. They fully integrate with desktop. So Claude does have a built-in desktop thing where it can take over the desktop and do automated things within your file system and all that stuff. It also integrates with Active Campaign and just all these third-party tools, right? And once you have these connectors, you're basically allowing live access into these integration tools. I don't do any of that. I effectively just use it predominantly to write. Now, the key to Claude is Claude Projects, which is like the secret sauce. What makes it different than custom GPTs is it has a memory. Okay. So this is really important. A lot of times when you use a custom GPT, it's as if it met you for the first time every time you tag it, right? Now, it's true that with ChatGPT, you can create a project and somehow work around that. But Claude was the first one that came out with projects. And with projects, you can do just like a custom GPT. You upload your data, you give it your system instructions, but then you can have unlimited threads inside that project. And as it starts to realize like, oh, there's certain ways that you always ask for clarity, it learns, and it has a memory feature in it. And basically it's not an editable memory feature like in the traditional sense. It's okay, what about this memory do you want to change? You prompt it and then it'll bloop, bloop, it'll kind of update the memory. But the coolest thing about projects is it has this thing called artifacts. And I think they call this Canvas in OpenAI. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Artifacts is really, really cool. It looks like a Microsoft Word document or a Google Doc, and it pops up on the right side of the screen, beautifully formatted. And then you can highlight whatever you want. And then you can just in free text, tell it what you want to change without editing it. And it will just automatically update it and change it. But what I really love about Claude and the way that I use it all the time is I have a background as a copywriter. So what I'll do is I will write promotional emails, for example, AI business world or social media marketing world. And my team will give me, even though I'm the CEO, they'll give me a little prompt, a little starter prompt that has a couple things. And I'll go into my Claude project for social media marketing world. And I will say, write me multiple variations of emails based on this theme. And then it will go ahead and pop out 8 different variations. I'll read them and kind of have a sense as to which one I think is best. And then I will ask it which is best. And what it will do is it will go into its training data and it will analyze which is best based on what it knows about who the core audience is. And it will say like, number 7 is the best, but number 2 is a close runner up. And here's why. Okay. So at that point, what I can do is I can say, all right, I actually really like number 7, but I like this part from number 8. Go ahead and create a new set of variations. And then what it will eventually do is, I'll work with it as I'm creating these new variations. And unprompted, sometimes it'll say, yep, this one is like an 8.5 out of 10. And I'll say, oh, well, what do I do to make it a 10? And all of a sudden it will just start coming up. Well, here's how I would change it to make it a 10. So it's super consultative and it's learning. And this is really, really valuable for me because I happen to be a master craft person at my copywriting craft. And it's just making me a so much better writer. So now I'm able to produce a lot more copy. Now, this is where it gets really, really cool. When you create a project inside of Claude, have you ever been in a position where you've created like a custom GPT and you wish you had one that did a slightly different task?
Yeah.
This happens all the time.
Yeah.
So what I did is I said, okay, I'm going to create a special podcast series for social media marketing world. And I went into my email writer and I said, you are now an expert at helping create podcast episodes for the social media marketing podcast. Do you understand? Yes, I understand. Now I have 2 special roles that I'm doing. Okay. Then I copy and pasted in the list of all the speakers from my conference. And I said, identify groups of people that will be ideal guests on a roundtable topic with me and 2 of my guests. Okay. And then it came up with all of them. And it said, here's who you should have, ... And then I said, okay, rank the top 4. And then it decided, okay, based on everything I know, these are the top 4 you should do. Then I said, well, are there any other topics that I should be considering? And it said, yes, as a matter of fact, there are. And it came up with AI and workplace disruption. And I'm like, ooh, that's really good. Who do you think you should get for that? And it said, well, I think you should get Christopher Penn and Rachel Woods for that. And you can see how basically I used my project just for writing emails. I gave it a new responsibility just for that one thread. It knew how to take the old data and the new role and effectively became a new specialist for me within that existing project. It's kind of next level stuff.
Yeah. And this goes back to that comment I made earlier. It's not about the capabilities of the tool. It's about the capabilities of the human knowing like, ooh, I wonder if it could do that. Yes, it can, kind of thing,
Yeah,
right?
because it's a pain in the butt to create a brand new project from scratch and add in all the data just for these one-off kind of tasks.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when you've got this really well-refined model that I've been using for over a year, and I've got hundreds and hundreds of interactions I've had with it, and it's super refined, why not use it for all these special point tasks? And sure enough, you can with cloud projects, which is the beauty of it.
As we're getting to the end of this, I got this question for you. You've done how many episodes of your AI podcast have you done now?
I think I've done about AI Explored. I think we're probably about 70 in right now, 70.
What have been the biggest lessons learned? I mean, it's an amazing opportunity because you get to just ask AI experts questions that you want to know the answer to, right?
Yeah.
What have been some of the takeaways from some of those interviews that you think maybe the audience should really you need to know this?
Well, the first thing is it's changing faster than all of us realize. Like what the people tell me before we get on the call and after the call.
Wow.
is kind of the secret sauce stuff, right?
Yeah.
And because, you've been on my show, we usually meet a week before, we come up with a show flow, and then we stay on topic. But what they're all telling me is it's so hard to keep up with this stuff. I wish I had time. I happen to be a CEO who's a personality, you know what I mean? I host 2 shows. I wish I had time to dig into all the things, but what I often end up doing is sending advanced recordings to my staff. Hey, you got to figure this out.
Interesting.
I think the hot thing right now that a lot of people are interested in is workflows. I really do think this is the massive thing that everybody wants, because I'm a believer, as you are, I believe, and most of our guests, that we shouldn't use AI to replace humans. We should use it to enhance humans. And in an ideal world, if we can keep our staff and double our effectiveness and productivity, that's going to have a massive upside for the company. And I believe AI enhanced is kind of the phrase that I use instead of AI first, because AI first typically means, you're automating and replacing humans with AI. And I just don't think it's there yet. But I'm a big believer in AI enhanced. And this is kind of the message I keep driving to my staff, which is, hey, we're not training you on how to do this so that we can replace you. We're training you on how to do this so you can help with the mission of the business. And you're going to become more valuable to the business.
Yeah.
And that's going to be job security for you, right? So the more you understand how to leverage these tools to allow you to do the things you want to do, and maybe automate the things you hate doing, so you can open up mind share for creative tasks or deep thinking tasks that require human brains, that you become more valuable to the company. And I believe that's kind of a through line that I'm seeing right now. And I believe that also will be happening at AI Business World when we meet in April. I think a lot of people are going to be there because they're scared and it's hard to keep up. But I think they're going to walk away with a lot of, wow, we can become really valuable if we embrace these things now, because, we're just 3 years, Chris. It's only been 3 years since the ChatGPT moment. Like as we're recording this, we're about 9 days away from, the 3-year mark. Yeah. We're still early days, brother.
Yeah. And, just considering when 3.5 came out and 3 years ago, it's like, man, this is amazing. It was nothing compared to what we've talked about today. It's so crazy. Hey, I want to make sure we talk about the event too. So tell me about when and where.
Okay. So Social Media Marketing World has been around forever, and AI Business World is a sub conference within that conference. It's going to be at the Anaheim Convention Center last few days of April. And the AI Business World Conference is going to have 2 simultaneous stages with nonstop AI training. And then and we'll have about 3,000 people at the whole conference, and probably about 1,000 will be in the AI portion of it. And for those that are interested, I do have, it's on sale right now, but you can get an extra $100 off if you go to socialmediaexaminer.com/AI AI at work, which I believe is the name of the show. But yeah, I'm really excited about it, because what we did last year, Chris, is we had
was last year the first year?
Last year, we dedicated a track at Social Media Marketing World. It was our most popular track. We had a room with 700 people in it, and it was packed out the whole time.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and let's spin up a new event, because not everybody's interested in social media.
Yeah.
A lot of people are interested in AI, and that's why it's called AI Business World, because it's really going to be practical, tactical. It's really for the person in your company who wants to learn how to use this stuff. And we're going to be talking about all the things that we talked about today. Like that, like how in the world do you actually come out like understanding how to use all the tools? We have massive space called the networking plaza with themed tables where people can sit and interact with each other. Our event is highly social. Shouldn't surprise you, but yeah, I'm really excited about it. And we're committed for the next few years to having AI Business World be a sub conference of social media marketing world. And if people want the whole thing, they can pay a little bit more and get the whole thing.
So we'll make sure that that link is in the show notes for sure. I plan on going as an attendee to the event. So who are maybe some of the speakers that you're the most excited about that you've already lined up?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now as we speak.
Nice.
So it's, we have a lot of people that if you listen to my show, we've got Christopher Penn, who is one of the leading voices. We've got Dan Sanchez, who, he's got a podcast called AI Marketers or something like that. We have a guy named, well, we've got a lot of people that probably aren't going to know, but some people might know Jonathan Mast. He has a massive AI community online. Michael Hyde, who I mentioned earlier, is going to be there. We've got, let's see, who else do we have? We have Rachel Woods, who's a big person in the world. We've got Dr. Nikki Saunders out of Australia, who is really a leader in helping businesses develop AI operating systems. We've got 18 of the 20 slots filled right now.
Nice.
A lot of these people, not everyone is going to know, but we're covering everything from AI video to AI images to custom GPTs, AI operations, AI content, AI automation, and agents too, which is kind of a big deal, and workflows, because agents is kind of the hot button right now.
Are you going to be recording any podcast episodes from there?
No, because when I'm at the conference, I'm the opening keynote.
Okay.
So I don't have a lot of bandwidth for that kind of stuff, because what ends up happening is everybody comes up to me because they know me in that world, you know? So, but no, that I don't record while I'm there. I just kind of make myself present for the community. Yeah.
Very cool, man. Like for being your second, I guess your first year of actually doing it as its own thing, and you're expecting that many people, there's other conferences in the AI space that are well known that have been trying for years to break that 1,000 member target. So this is going to be fantastic. Anything we can do to support it.
First of all, check it out. Let your friends know about it. For those that are listening, if you are a CEO of a company, send some of your people. It's not super expensive. Social Media Marketing World as a conference has been around for a long time. We started in 2013. All you got to do is do a little Google search. We're definitely a legacy, business when it comes to the marketing world. But I do want to stress this. The most important thing right now is for people to learn how to use these things.
Yes.
And this is not a conference where we have people pitching from the stage. These are actual people that are the best of the best that I've recruited. If you listen to my show, you're going to know all the names. And they don't come to pitch. They come to train, and they come to hang out, and they come to interact. And I feel like that's kind of the missing thing right now, is like, that's why I'm bringing this to the table, to help mostly smaller businesses, or anyone who's working inside of a mid-sized business to really understand how to put this stuff to work. So socialmediaexaminer.com/AIAT work will get you extra $100 off. And I think it's only going to be for the next couple of weeks.
Okay. We're going to push this one out because of the timely nature of Gemini and the stuff that you shared with me. I want everybody to start practicing with this stuff during the holidays for sure. Michael, thank you, man. We don't do a lot of episodes where I get to geek out on the tactical. We tend to, tell me about how it's going to impact, business, which is all good stuff that you need to think about but we don't get into the weeds like we did today. And I love it. This is amazing.
Thank you, Chris, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Sure, man. So again, everybody, I would encourage you to check out Michael's podcast. I was a guest on it. But the names that he's got on there are people that, if you like the type of conversation that we had today, that podcast is full of those every single week. And
AI Explored is what it's called. Yeah. Thank you.
AI Explored. Yeah. And we'll also put a link to that in the show notes for this as well, because I want you guys to, Michael's talking to some amazing people on his show. So, and everybody, thank you so much for listening in on this episode. I would encourage you, don't just go, oh, that was interesting. Please go open up. If you're on Google, go open up the Gemini app and start playing with it and doing the things. Use the connectors, have it go through the email inbox and say, what are some important things that I've missed, or, come up with, just play like he did. This concept of training your people on this and getting them to actually build a tool, a gem in this case. Great idea. Your people will start to use those. They'll start to go, oh, this wasn't hard. oh my gosh, this is saving me this time. I didn't even like doing that thing anyway. And now I've got this tool. So some great nuggets in here, Michael. Thank you so much for being on the show today, man. This is amazing.
My pleasure. Thank you, Chris.
All right, guys, we'll see you on the next episode. In the meantime, go use AI.
Thanks for tuning in to Using AI at Work. Don't forget to subscribe for more conversations about how to use AI at work. And a special thank you to our sponsor, Chief AI Officer, for empowering businesses with AI education and training. Visit their website for a free AI readiness assessment and AI strategy guide to help you get started using AI at work. That's www.chiefaiofficer.com. Follow us on Twitter at the handle Using AI at Work, and visit www.usingaiatwork.com for free resources to help you harness AI in your role.